Blending a retro-futuristic style in a morally gray society with faction politics and dark humor, you get one of gaming's most memorable franchises.
You can be a hero by purchasing a residence in a Vault-Tec vault today. Because if the worst should happen tomorrow, the world is going to need you to build a better day after.
Fallout is much more than just post-apocalypse and power armor. With Amazon's live-action series growing in popularity and expanding the universe, officially tying into the game canon, some people are asking what is Fallout or what they should know before watching the show, while others are wondering where exactly the series fits within the overarching Fallout timeline. Let's talk about it. But first, if you're new here, hi, I'm Antonio from ThyGeekdom.com. Here we get into everything from gaming to anime and comic book, TV, and movies. If that sounds like your thing, consider subscribing to the channel and check out the description to learn how to join the community. Oh, and by the way, Fallout takes place in an alternate history America, where 1950s optimism ran on atomic power. Basically, imagine if society never moved past the look and feel of the 50s. Everything still has that retro Art Deco aesthetic and mid-century charm, just with futuristic technology layered on top. Robot helpers, laser weapons, nuclear-powered cars. But everything changed with the Great War of October 23, 2077, a catastrophic 2-hour nuclear exchange between the US and China that wiped out modern civilization and reshaped the world into the irradiated wasteland fans have come to know and love in the Fallout universe. The wasteland is a patchwork of vault experiments, strange tech, raiders, and clashing ideologies. From Vault-Tec's twisted social experiments to the Brotherhood of Steel's crusade for lost technology, every corner of Fallout's world tells a story. The new California Republic NCR and Caesar's Legion wage war in the Mojave. The Enclave clings to delusions of superiority, and ghouls and supermutants embody what humanity becomes when survival takes a toll. Ghouls are people who survived centuries of radiation, their humanity slowly eroding at the cost of immortality. Supermutants are twisted by the forced evolutionary virus. Both are reflections of what happens when the fight to adapt goes too far. Haunting reminders that in Fallout, survival always comes with a price. And somewhere out there we have Deathclaws, which are apex predators. Reminders that danger is always waiting just behind the corner. For me, that backdrop has always hit differently. Fallout isn't just another post-apocalyptic series. It's a mood, a sense of eerie curiosity and haunting beauty, where every crumbled building and rusted vault feels alive, with stories waiting to be uncovered, a prime example of environmental storytelling done right. I remember stepping out of Vault 101 in Fallout 3 and being floored by that moment of freedom and dread. It's the same feeling that really keeps me coming every time back to the series of games. The mystery of the unknown and the desire to just really explore the wasteland. Before the apocalypse became iconic though, the franchise itself was evolving behind the scenes. Originally created by Interplay Productions in the late 90s, Fallout actually started as a spiritual successor to Wasteland the game, blending turn-based RPG mechanics with a satirical vision of the future. Its world, part 1950s pulp, part Cold War paranoia, stood out in an era dominated by high fantasy and sci-fi shooters. When Bethesda took over in the mid-2000s, the series shifted to first-person exploration, introducing a new generation of players to its moral dilemmas, dark humor, and lore. Fallout 3 and New Vegas became benchmarks for world building and narrative choice, while Fallout 4 refined base building and storytelling for the franchise. Even Fallout 76, which had a rocky start, helped expand the lore through shared online play and live updates. Fallout's DNA now runs through countless games. You can see its influence in games like Outer Worlds, Cyberpunk 2077, and Metro Exodus, just to name a few. For players like me though, it's not just a post-apocalyptic RPG anymore. It's a time capsule of imagination, humor, and humanity's stubborn will to survive in the worst conditions imaginable. This game series lives on 3 pillars: exploration, consequences, and the truth that war never changes. Those 3 pillars that define the games translate seamlessly to the small screen with Amazon's Fallout TV series. This show doesn't retell a specific game storyline, and that's exactly what I love about it. Fallout has always been about your path through the wasteland, side quests, rumors, terminals, and hard choices. The show mirrors that, giving us new characters like Lucy, Maximus, and the Ghoul, while capturing the same sense of exploration and discovery you experience in the games. What really impressed me was how faithfully the show adapted the feel of Fallout. You can tell that the showrunners love the source material, or at least respect it enough. From the tone and humor to the production design that looks like it was ripped straight from the games, it's full of Easter eggs and nods to the game series, but it also tells a story that stands on its own. One of my favorite moments of the show, for example, is the grocery store scene in season 1. It automatically reminded me of the side quest from Fallout 3, or I think it was New Vegas maybe, where basically you explore an abandoned store and end up fighting off feral ghouls in tight aisles. The show takes that familiar gameplay that I remember and turns it into something cinematic, an homage that feels both nostalgic and new. As someone who has sunk hours into wandering the wasteland, I appreciated how the show didn't just copy the games, it understood them. It gets the atmosphere, the irony, and the humor perfectly. And it's clear that the showrunners are doubling down on what makes the series work. At the time of shooting this video, I got a glimpse of Season 2's trailer, which is taking us to the Mojave Desert and giving us more of that perfect balance of chaos and charm. The trailer reassures me they're not losing steam. We see VATS-style shots, more New Vegas lore, and even a Deathclaw tease that's got many fans like me excited. If Season 2 is already out by the time you're watching this, let me know in the comments what you think of it in comparison to Season 1. I really can't wait to watch it myself. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Now let's get into how and where the Amazon Fallout series fits in the overall timeline of the games. To understand where the show lands, we need to look at the chronological order of key entries in the franchise and the events that happened in each era of Fallout's history. 2102, Fallout 76, the earliest point in the timeline, set just 25 years after the Great War. Fallout 76 explores what happens when humanity first emerges from the safety of the vaults. Vault 76 opens its doors, sending dwellers into the Appalachian region to rebuild society from the ashes. Players uncover the first attempts to form order through groups like the Responders, who aim to help survivors, the Free States fighting for independence, and the Brotherhood of Steel, already taking shape as a powerful faction. The story follows these early pioneers as they face new dangers like the Scorched and the monstrous Scorched Beasts, creatures born from radiation. It's a story about hope, the struggle to rebuild, and the uncertain steps that would eventually lay the groundwork for societies and factions seen later in the Fallout timeline. 2161, Fallout. The original game that started it all. Set in the post-nuclear California, you play as the Vault Dweller that emerges from Vault 13 in search of a computer chip to fix their community's water supply system. You uncover the twisted experiments of Vault-Tec and face the Master, a mutant leader trying to force human evolution. This marks the beginning of the ideas and alliances that will later form the New California Republic, NCR for short. This is the series' first major government. While the NCR isn't officially established until years after the events of the first game, the seeds of its founding ideals like law and order and rebuilding civilization are planted here through early survivor communities and the Vault Dwellers' influence. 2241, Fallout 2. Set 80 years later after the first game, the NCR has grown powerful but politically divided, struggling to balance its ideals of democracy with harsh realities of survival. In Fallout 2, you play as the Chosen One, which is actually the grandchild of the player character in the first game. In this game, you're trying to find the GECK, which is short for Garden of Eden Creation Kit, to save your dying village. Along the way, you encounter slavers, raiders, and the remnants of the Enclave's sinister genetic experiments. This chapter explores the growing tension between rebuilding civilization and repeating old world mistakes as the NCR's expansion brings both progress and corruption. The rise of corporations, the moral compromises of power, and the shadow of the Enclave define this era in Fallout's history. 2277 Fallout 3. The series goes east to the capital Wasteland in Washington, D.C., where you play as the lone wanderer who emerges from Vault 101 after their father James, who mysteriously leaves the safety of the vault. Your search leads you to Project Purity, which is an ambitious plan to restore clean water to the wasteland. But along the way, you face the Enclave, the remnants of the old US government, who seek to control the project for their own vision of America. The story here balances legacy, sacrifice, and moral choice, which ends in one of the franchise's most emotional endings. 2281 Fallout New Vegas. My favorite installment in the franchise is set in the Mojave Desert. New Vegas dives into political chaos and clashing ideologies. The player, known as the Courier, is ambushed and left for dead before rising to become the ultimate wildcard in a battle to control the Hoover Dam. The NCR, Caesar's Legion, and Mr. House each represent a different vision for rebuilding civilization. The Courier's choices determine the fate of the region and highlight Fallout's trademark freedom to shape the world through the consequences of your choices. 2287 Fallout 4. The story takes place in Boston's Commonwealth and takes a personal turn. The sole survivor, which is the player character here, awakens centuries after the bombs fell, having been cryogenically frozen in Vault 111 during the Great War, and waking up far into the future to find a world transformed, discovering their spouse murdered and their infant son kidnapped. Their search for answer leads them to the Institute, which is a secretive faction responsible for creating synthetic humans, known as synths. The game explores themes of identity, loss, and morality, as players choose between factions like the Brotherhood of Steel, the Railroad, and the Institute, all trying to define humanity's future. Its blend of personal narrative and massive world building make it one of the series' most ambitious entries. And this is where we finally get to the event of the Amazon Fallout TV series, taking place after Fallout 4 in the year 2296, which is about 9 years after. The show's creators have confirmed that it is canon to the games and expands the existing timeline, while introducing new regions, characters, and moral conundrums. But still, some fans, they have pointed out what they believe are inconsistencies or plot holes between the show and the established lore, specifically involving New Vegas, debating its placement across forums and Reddit threads. The creators, however, have clarified where it fits in the timeline, explaining that it aligns with the canon while exploring storylines that the games only hinted at. The story follows...
My name is Lucy McLean, and I'm an active contributor to the well-being of my community.
A sheltered vault dweller living in Vault 33, located beneath the ruins of Los Angeles. She ventures out into the Californian wasteland for the first time, searching for her father after a sudden violent attack on her home. Along the way, she crosses paths with the Ghoul, a centuries-old bounty hunter with a mysterious past, and Maximus, a Brotherhood of Steel squire torn between duty and morality. Their journeys intertwine across the wasteland, filled with factions fighting for power and survival, just like in the games. Rather than rehashing old plots, however, the series adds to the Fallout mythos, showing how humanity continues to adapt long after the bombs fell. The show blends together fragments of Fallout's history with references to the Brotherhood of Steel, Vault-Tec, and the NCR, all while carving out its own story. So while you don't have to play every game to enjoy the show, understanding how it fits in the timeline helps reveal how every vault, every faction, and every journey is part of one long, beautifully broken timeline of survival and consequence. If you're interested in learning more about the world of Fallout or getting even more immersed in the wasteland, there are many great ways to do it beyond the show. The most obvious one being the games themselves. I definitely think playing Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4 are a must, but feel free to check out the original titles by Interplay 2. They're all easily playable digitally through the game libraries of platforms like Steam or GOG, and of course, there are physical copies available at many retailers like Amazon. Once you've explored the wasteland through the video games, you can re-experience the adventure in tabletop form with Fallout the board game. Survival, faction building, and exploration become a social experiment that you can share with your friends. Fans have praised the game's clever balance of competitive and cooperative mechanics, its attention to Fallout's world building, and how it captures the spirit of exploration and decision making that defines the series. Now, if you're a vinyl collector like me, and you love to enjoy listening to the soundtracks of your favorite games and shows, you will want to capture the sound and soul of the series by getting one of the Fallout vinyl soundtracks. The classic retro-futuristic music that defines the franchise has never sounded better. Now, for those that are enjoying the show already, grab the Fallout TV series on Blu-ray featuring bonus content, behind-the-scenes features, and commentary that dives into how the adaptation came to life. I actually own a copy myself, and it's one of my favorite pieces of physical media to rewatch. I enjoy the packaging, the extra features, and just having something tangible from the series makes it even more special to me. By the way, did you know there's actually a cookbook? That's right, the Vault Dwellers official cookbook. A Vault-Tec approved guide inspired by the world of Fallout, packed with recipes for delicacies from the wasteland like Mirelurk egg omelet, Deathclaw steak, and Blamco mac and cheese, all reimagined for our kitchens. If you're interested in anything I mentioned, check out the links in the description. I really think Fallout has lasted this long because it's not just about the end of the world. It's about what survives, our quirks, our choices, and how humanity rebuilds when law and order as we know it is gone. The show understands that. It's faithful to the spirit of exploration and choices while telling its own story, but still honoring the game's themes of survival, discovery, and human resilience. From the branching paths introduced in the early CRPGs made by Interplay Productions, and the moral gray areas expanded on in Bethesda's Fallout 3 and New Vegas, to the personal stakes refined in Fallout 4. Everything leads here, to the Amazon Fallout TV series, where decades of storytelling finally converge. The series ties all of that legacy together while firmly planting itself within the established canon timeline, bridging the gap after Fallout 4 and expanding the world in ways that feel both new and authentic. It proves that the heart of Fallout still beats strong in every Vault Dweller, Wanderer, Soul Survivor, and player who refuses to give up, surviving against impossible odds, reminding us that we can endure even in the harshest conditions. But what do you think? Did the show capture the spirit of the games for you? Where do you think it fits best in Fallout's long timeline? And do you agree with the creators of the show in terms of it being canon? Also, what moment from the TV series felt the most Fallout to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love reading them and continuing the conversation. And by the way, if you have any topic ideas for future videos that you would like me to cover, you can leave your suggestions by replying to one of our Pop Pulse Digest newsletters. All that said, Fallout has meant a lot to me over the years. It's really one of my favorite gaming franchises, and the kind of world that really does keep pulling me back. Not just for the gameplay story, but for that mix of wonder and ruin that somehow feels human. Amazon's Fallout TV series really cements that feeling for me, really more than ever. It's proof that this universe I've loved for years can evolve, surprise, and still capture that same spark and sense of wonder that drew many of us in the first place.